get more done in the morning than I do at night.
Mm, okay. And then one word friends would use to describe you.
Very tenacious or bold and straightforward, like forthcoming. So
Yes,
yeah, bubbly, but also very tenacious.
I agree. And then what did you want to be growing up?
Interestingly enough, I wanted to be a cardiologist. I wanted to get into medicine. That didn't work
Mhm.
out, but that was my dream growing up.
Okay. All right. All right, so let's get back to the beginning. What was it like growing up? Little Nonhle, where are you from? The little girl before the business.
Yeah. Oh, the little girl. So I actually grew up in Nelspruit. That's a small town in Mpumalanga now called Mbombela. I grew up with my mom and my grandmother. I lost my dad when I was 7 years old.
Mhm.
So yeah, I grew up in the little suburbs of Nelspruit, and that was pretty much my upbringing. I went to like a Afrikaans primary school because my mom had me quite young as well. So I kind of watched her navigate life while having me. And then I was pretty much raised by my grandmother. You can say she was like my father figure. And yeah, I'd say the experiences that shaped me was that great loss when I was a
Mm,
kid. It's so crazy that things like that happen. Like, how old am I now? 32 this year. Maybe 20 odd, 28 odd years. But they still affect you as you're growing up, and it shapes the way that you see yourself in the world and the decisions and the choices that you make, and just being raised by women who are also navigating life. I think has really shaped the woman that I am today, and also just being an only child. That also has some way of creeping up on you as you get older, and you see some patterns or traits that you picked up that make it like a challenge, I guess, or sometimes even like a positive in your life. Yeah, just being an only child and being raised by a woman, losing a huge chunk of who I was as a young child, but also growing up in a very small Afrikaans town as well.
mm. Okay, before I add on to that, you do sound a bit muffled. Are you using
Oh, really?
AirPods? Yes.
I am. Oh my goodness. Okay, so okay. Let me okay. Let me try to see if I can use the computer as a
Okay.
microphone.
Okay. I'll just give you a few minutes for that.
Is this better?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So
So
yes,
would you like me to repeat everything, or did you hear it?
no, I did hear you. I did hear you.
Okay.
But yes, it's a very relatable story that you are sharing, the loss that you've experienced, especially from a very young age. Those things do creep up in your adult years, but you've turned out great, that we can clearly see. And yeah, let's get to learn more about you moving forward. So before we get to the meat of the matter, I'd love to hear about this part over here on the slide, your Mutsipe Foundation prize, you being part of the M&G Young South Africans, and TEDx as well, and the Mandela Washington Fellowship. How did that happen? And how has that also played a role in the business that you're running today?
Okay. I hope you don't mind if I mix them up because there's a first half and there's a second half, right? And the
That's
first
okay.
half being, yeah, the first half, I'm looking at it now, 2022. That is me 4 years into the business. So I started Girl Boss at my second year of varsity. I started university 5 years after matric. Pretty much someone who, one, I guess I also had financial struggles to go immediately from high school to university, but I also had a bit of a difficult time trying to navigate who I wanted to be in the world. And eventually I figured it out, and I matriculated in 2012, but started university 2017. And Girlboss came second year, 2018. So building the brand, and I guess, you know, you want to add on to some accolades, and you want to build a brand that's not just about selling products and just being out there in the market. You this is me, by the way, this is me wanting to build a purpose-led brand that has some impact, that is also inspiring young girls as I'm building as well. And so I guess the recognition came about 4 years later for the Mail and Guardian. That's a different one, simply because I guess you apply for it and they do a vetting, and they've seen the work that we had done at the time as an organization, and just being recognized as the young South Africans to look out for at the time. So that was just like a little bit of validation to be like, okay, you know, heading in the right direction. I didn't really apply much or, you know, put myself out there at the start of the business, and maybe even midway in the business, I hadn't done much, right? And so came TEDx, TEDx before Mandela, yes. TEDx is now 2023. I studied film and media and African studies. I always wanted to be, I always wanted, at UCT, I always wanted to be like a storyteller. I wanted to be a documentarist or a sci-fi director, and I wanted to tell African stories by an African, or create sci-fi films that were in the African setting, right? And that part of that journey from finishing high school and entering varsity, I think that's where I discovered that's what I wanted to do. However, there was a part that I haven't mentioned during that transition, apart from being like financially incapable of doing getting into varsity. I went through like a whole spiritual journey. It's something that you either like discover earlier on in life, or it happens to you later on in life. At some point, we all have to do like some sort of spiritual seeking, I guess. And so TEDx came out, and I applied to want to tell a beautiful African story. But I thought maybe I could use myself as an example, and basically also incorporate Girlboss, which is about being of purpose, but also using certain hurt experiences that we've had in life. And so that for me was the loss of my father, and how to turn grief into an igniter of finding your purpose. So that was me slowly branching into aspects of how we can discover our purpose. And yeah, that was really great. That was like a different type of experience, and I guess also helping me overcome being able to talk with people and just share a different aspect of our journey that we're all currently facing in life, which is like, why are we here? What am I meant to do, you know? And then Mandela Washington happened, fellowship happened. So Mandela happened right at just after I realized that the business couldn't go on. So we have a first half and a second half of Girlboss. Like sitting here right now is Nonhle, who's working on Girlboss Africa 2.0. But prior to that, it was just like Girlboss. And what happened was I used to have a manufacturing partner. I think we're gonna go on more, and then I'll be able to break that down for you. And basically, they got liquidated while they were holding my stock and working capital. And if you know anything about liquidation and you are in retail, essentially it means your business does not exist anymore. So by the time Mandela Washington Fellowship happened, I was at a brink of, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And if I don't find that sense of purpose or that light during this experience, I'm just probably going to go on a whole self-discovery journey again, just to seek the answers. And it just so happened that during that experience, I was able to find what I was looking for internally, to just ignites that, okay, let's build and let's rebuild better than we ever did before. So that's where the journey of, I guess, the Motsepe and the Woolworths come from that, because I was able to overcome that hardship time and be able to put myself out there. So 2025, I entered the foundation. That was me just trying to see how to re-up my knowledge of entrepreneurship, and that was what the Matiba Foundation was about. It was pretty much going through, I think, a 6 month period of school with the UCT Graduate School of Business, and just re-upping my knowledge, trying to understand how the game is right now. And I guess with that, together with the work that I had done, I came out as the prize winner. It was more focused on impact more than anything. And I guess all the work that I had done prior mattered in this competition. So yeah. And then last year, I was on LinkedIn and I came across a post for the Woolworths Youth Makers. Never heard of it prior to when I saw it online. And I decided that maybe this is a market exposure like Girlboss 2.0 needs. And I entered, and I had to go pitch in front of some judges in Cape Town at Woolworths headquarters, and here I am today.
Yeah, that was quite the story. We always see the website, the branding, the social media. We don't know what it all took to even get there, because obviously all these things are interconnected in some way or form to what Girl Boss is right now. But however, I do want to let maybe a person ask a question just so that we don't speak too much. But yeah, just to make it more flexible, is there any comment or
Sure.
any question that anybody has? You can unmute and ask, or you can type in the chat as well. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, nobody. Let's continue. All right. So, finding entrepreneurship, right? Um, some people have their first experience of entrepreneurship being maybe they had a spaza shop at home. What was your first encounter with entrepreneurship? And when did you realize that, you know what, I would actually want to be an entrepreneur, build my own thing? And what was your first even business idea, if you can remember? Because I'm pretty sure for you to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur, we all have these 10 million business ideas.
Yeah. So my first experience would be my grandmother. I think I come from a home of entrepreneurship, which is, I think, also an advantage that I had just growing up, understanding it, seeing it, regardless of whether it's the same as what I'm building right now or not. But I just came from a home with people who were always in business. And my granny used to own a shop where she used to sell all kinds of things, be it like little makeup stuff, hair. Hair was a huge one. Um, yeah, makeup, like maybe some lingerie as well, because she was really young as well. So I used to see my granny when she retired from government. She used to work a government job. She opened her own store with her retirement fund, and that is how I used to spend my holidays during school, helping her out. And then when did I realize I wanted to build something on my own? So then my mom, she also used to work in government as well, and she retired, or retired from government 2012, and she got into beauty manufacturing, similar to what I'm doing right now. And she got into it during the whole movement of the natural hair movement in 2012. It started in 2012, but people were transitioning from relaxed hair to natural hair, and she jumped onto that wagon. And she was actually one of the first few people to build a very great, successful brand in South Africa that supported women in that space. So I used to help her out as well. I used to pack products with her in the boot of her car when people used to order products online before she got into retail. And I was like, hey, maybe this is something that I might end up in. I didn't know or realize that I wanted to build something of my own, but I was just like, look, the patterns are there, the signs are there. I'm probably going to end up being an entrepreneur as well. But I didn't really think about it until 2018, which is the second year of university. So 6 years later, I was like, hey, I know someone who does this, but there's a gap for a particular market. Maybe I can tap into that and serve underserved markets as well. So my first business idea, I would think that I grew up in apartments, complexes all my life since I was born. And I think we've only moved 3 times, but every time we moved, we always moved to different apartments. And there was a series and a book that was released from the series back in the day, and it was called The Babysitters Club. So that was my first business. People watched me grow up. People trusted me. People saw the little girl growing up and being able to play with new kids and other kids as they came in and out of the apartments. And so when people started having babies, I used to have this service where I'd put it by the security gates, and I'd be like, people can call me to come and babysit their children. I mean, I have no knowledge of how to take care of a child. I don't have siblings at this point. Um, but people used to call me to come and look after their little ones, and I'd just take my bike and just ride over to my neighbor and babysit their kids, whether it was infants, toddler, or little kids. That was me. That was me, baby, forming my own babysitting club. Um, and yeah, the particular moment again is in 2018 when I'm working for my mom who has her own beauty brand. And it just hit me that, hey, there is an opportunity because at that time it was still a very much niche business idea or concept where people are transitioning, but there are very few brands who are transitioning from relaxed hair to natural hair. And products at that time or the market was quite expensive because there was a lot of competitors. And then it hit me to be like, hey, we can actually do the same, but cater for both natural and relaxed. We don't want to discriminate and can just sell affordable natural hair care products for both natural hair and relaxed hair girls. And that is how Girlboss came
Mm.
to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I always say there's always those little signs here and there throughout your life that if you ignore them, that would be just you just choosing to ignore, like the things that you're interested in as a kid. And clearly, you were able to do your own thing, even by babysitting. At the time, it could have been seen as, no, this is just a side hustle. But that was a business idea that actually came to fruition. And the trends are from your grandmother being in beauty as well, then to your mother, and now to you. It might be
Correct.
in the genes at this point, you know.
I always
Yeah.
say, I always say, there's always signs. We just need to know or learn how to listen. But there are always indicators of what you're trying or what you're working towards fulfilling, which is probably if you're going to go on the journey of purpose and self-actualization, just go back to being a kid and see the little patterns. They were always there, and perhaps even the answer is there as well. Yeah, you're right,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah. Okay. Moving along. Yes. I think you've already answered the part where did the idea come from, right? But now, what problem were you actually trying to solve? And just to comment again, the era of moving from natural hair, from relaxed to natural hair, that was such a phenomenal time for us South African women or Black women as well, because
Yes.
growing up, you thought your hair was just difficult to work with, but you just needed a little maybe YouTube video back in the day, the 2K16 era, where
Yeah.
somebody just shows you, oh, maybe all you need is some Aunt Jackie, I think. I forgot. Yes, but
Yeah.
with all of that, what problem did you pick up on that made you decide to start Girl Boss?
Okay. So I think this is a bit twofold in the sense that um, remember when I mentioned that when I was in varsity, I wanted to study African studies and film because I wanted to tell romantic African stories. And as I was fulfilling my studies, I realized that actually there are a lot of stories, but they are not enough. And perhaps what we need to do is actually tap into the behind the scenes and see how we can manipulate stories or beautiful stories so that they can be beautiful stories to tell. Sorry, how we can manipulate so we can tell more beautiful stories. And literally, that's how Girlboss came to be like, okay, we're going to go behind the scenes. So we don't just sell hair care products. We tried to develop Girlboss to be a brand that is an older sister brand that is able to provide you with information that can assist you, whether it's mentally, financially, emotionally. So we always had these workshops and summits that we'd host at different universities across the country. And we've done them here in South Africa. We've done them in Eswatini as well, and also online virtually with Nigeria as well. So the problem we're really trying to solve is to be inclusive and to realize that beauty is a vehicle, but it is a vehicle towards helping someone find meaning of their lives or discover more of themselves. But we feel confident, we feel good, we feel like we've got it all covered if we look good as well. And giving you products that are good for your hair, and we don't discriminate to be like you're just a natural hair girl and this is what we're encouraging you to be. No, if you want to be relaxed hair because it's more manageable or your hair still thrives and flourishes in that state, we've got products for you too. So we use products as a vehicle to help someone tap into the space of Girlboss so that they can uncover our platform of all the other aspects of their lives that they may need. So building a brand that's like an older sister, just to help you tap into different aspects of yourself. If you feel like you're lacking resources, then Girlboss would be the platform where you can find all those type of things as well. Or you could meet us at Varsity, and we bring in different trailblazers in different industries to offer you alternative career paths, for example, because circumstance is something that comes to play. Some people don't go to university, and so what can I do with the circumstance or the cards that I'm dealt with right now? So yeah, it's a bit twofold. It's always a bit hard to say it, to be like, depending which room I am in, how to say it. Oh, okay, we're just creating African botanical products for natural and relaxed hair girls, but we also are way more than that. And so it depends which room I'm in and which parts of the brand do I share. Do we share impact or do we share products? But those are the problems we're trying to solve. Just being an older sister, but also using affordable beauty as a vehicle to one uncovering their own purpose and destiny in a nutshell.
Mm.
Oh, charity. Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry, before I comment, I don't know if it's lagging on my end, if it's me having a network issue, but can you still hear me?
I can hear you. There was a time where you were mute or I didn't hear anything from your end, but I can hear you now.
Um, um, okay, I'm not too sure what's going on. It's really lagging.
Is, is it
Okay,
my side?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Gosh, okay.
Maybe if someone can also problem on our side, we can no problem on our side. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay,
Can you hear me?
yes, I think it was my issue. Hayani, do you have something to say?
Hi, Nonhle, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Just a question with regards to hair and beauty products. I've seen a lot nowadays on social media that there's a lot of discovery, more specifically, I guess also with women's products, where they discover that, oh, this makeup brand or this skincare brand, whatever it is, contains chemicals or anything that might be actually harmful. And sometimes you find that the company that owns that product knew about this 20 years back and then kept it under wraps. Um, how are you ensuring that at the end of the day, the products that you're providing are not just uh, making your client's life, I guess, aren't just focusing on the aesthetics, but making sure that they're also healthy for your clients? And a follow-up question to that would be, do you then see it as something that could be a competitive advantage if you can say that our brands are actually good for you and we didn't take any shortcuts to try and get it to do what we wanted to do while putting your health at risk? Thank you.
Uh, Thanks for that, Hanyane. Charity, do you want me to answer it now or just note it?
Yes, you can answer. Like I said, I think it would be great if this is more conversational than
Yeah.
just a boardroom type of thing.
Okay. Thanks for that, Hanyane. Yeah, no, there is a lot that's coming out in terms of chemicals and, bad ingredients that are being found in women's beauty products. And what I can tell you is that this tends to happen when, say, for example, I'm building Girlboss and I get approached by a larger corporation. I won't name any names, for example, but like large multinationals. And with large multinationals, basically, they produce at scale, like a huge like production at a time compared to me, who's still a small business owner. So they'll approach me, for example, and they'll ask me if I'm willing to sell my business to them. And I'm just like, oh, Girl Boss is a headache, and yeah, I want out. Pay me $20 million. I want out. So I take the $20 million, and I pretty much am not involved in my business anymore. But now it's sold to this huge corporation. People know the name. They looked at me because I built the brand in such a way that they can make more money than I can in the space that I have. So it becomes an issue of producing at scale. And if you're producing at scale and me, the founder, is no longer involved, you're going to replace all my natural African botanicals, which is what I've built the brand based on. We're in Africa, right? You guys can see this whole Korean beauty trend that's going on right now. And what they've done is that they've used their indigenous ingredients found in that region to help excel their skin and their hair performance, right? So Nonhle both grow bots to in Africa, and I use African oils, looking at our environment, our climate, how we respond to our natural products, ingredients on the continent, and I've built my products based on that. And hence why, for example, our hair it grows and it performs very well for African people. So now they approach me and they see that I've done that, and now it's like, oh, we're not gonna use shea butter, we're not gonna use banana or mango or marula oil. We're gonna use palm oil, for example, because it's cheaper and we're producing at scale. And Hanyani at home is not gonna go take an ingredient um, um, indicator to be like what oil is actually in this oil, for example. So you apply it on your hair because you don't, maybe you know that we've transitioned, but you just like, okay, it's Girl Boss. I've been buying Girl Boss. And that's how the quality then tends to change. And that's how, for example, then there's this social media absurd where people are like, hey, my hair's falling off. I've seen quite a few of brands go through that in the exact same description that I've just told you. My hair's falling off. The product isn't performing the same anymore. And you'll find that it's because the founder is no longer involved. That care, that thought that investments that they had put in creating this particular product or range is no longer there, because now we are producing at scale, and we are going to try and what economies of scale produce a huge amount, but at the cheapest cost as possible. So that's what happens. And for now, I am still with my brand. I haven't considered selling or exiting my brand yet. It'd be great, eventually. But these are the concerns that I would have, and I think I'd never ever step out of the role that I play. If we ever have those discussions, I'll always try to see that I am someone who's behind the production of our products for as long as possible. And it would be hard. It would be hard for me to sell my products, because we don't just sell products. Who's going to take care of the other aspects of the brand if I'm not there? Do they even care about it, for example? And yes, it is definitely an advantage. It's something that we put at the forefront of our marketing. Part of the Woolworths experience has given me enough funding to be able to change our packaging and to explore with more African ingredients like hibiscus acid, baobab oil as well. And that is something that we put out there to be like, hey, we're in Africa and we are deriving our ingredients from our continent. And yeah, it is a marketing advantage that I definitely use. I hope that answered your question. I'm very long-winded, by the way, so I hope that did answer.
Thank you very much. That did answer my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Okay, great. Moving on. Okay. All right. So, the part where you now have to put yourself out there, like, why should a person even choose you? What's your value proposition? Why should I choose Girl Boss and not Kantu that is also there? It clicks and stuff like that. What were some of the hardest parts when you were starting out? And I'm pretty sure this is different because now you're no longer helping out your mom. You're not assisting somebody. You're now doing your own thing. You know. Yeah. Can you please share a bit about that?
Sure. Um, like there's always this story about, how starting was so hard. Everyone feels like they have to have like this very, very difficult story to how they managed to build their brand to where it is right now. And yeah, I guess for the longest time, I also thought that maybe I also had to fit into that bracket. But the truth is, initially starting to build my brand wasn't difficult because my mom was already in that space, right? So, say for example, I'm just gonna try and answer some of the questions as I'm answering this first one. Is getting my first customers wasn't very difficult because I used to ride on my mom's company to help me be where we could be. So getting into retail, for example, was easy because my mom had formed those relationships with retailers, and basically, I would say my mom's company used to sit as an umbrella company for where my company was. So it was the mom company and then my company. It just so happened that mom company was also mom's company. So getting into retail was not as hard and difficult. And getting into retail is the reality of it is that getting into retail is very difficult. It is very hard. It takes so long because there's so much you have to prove as a brand. But because I was working under a trusted brand that was succeeding at the time, and made those kind of steps easy for me. So initially, the hardest part of starting was feeling like, is this my own story or am I just building my mom's baby brand, if I could say that, And it took a while. It took probably around 2022, 2023, where I was like, okay, actually, I do feel like this is a brand that is my own. It just so happens that I got the support, and hence why I said we all feel like the start has to be very difficult, but it didn't. It wasn't for me. It didn't have to be difficult, right? And so what I'm going to do now is just transition to where I am now because I'm no longer under mom's company, and this is me building Girlboss 2.0, which I decided to start over to build last year, January, which is 2025 January, right? So now it's me putting myself out there. There's no more, hey mom, please can you call this retailer and be like, hey, we have this brand. Now it's me having to form those relationships, and these are things that I wish I had taken advantage of when I had her as my mentor at the time, right? And I didn't take advantage of that. So I feel like I am starting on ground zero, which I feel like it's time that I wasted. I didn't learn or encapsulate as much as I should have during that time. And now I'm learning to fund my own business. Again, I was really backed up by the support of my family. She had a factory, so I formed a little section of my own within her business. I had my own employees, but everything was really taken care of by this mother company. So now I'm raising funds. I'm in the process of raising funds. Hence why, for example, you'll find me entering certain competitions compared to going straight to the bank. And I think we'll touch on that a little bit later about what kind of funding you can look at. But right now I'm trying my best, because one of the lessons that I did learn the hard way is try to avoid debt as much as possible, try to avoid owing people, try to avoid having to pay back people as much as possible. So I'm raising my own money, and one of the ways that I'm doing that is like through competitions, until I realize that actually I'm too exhausted for it. And then, for example, I start having these conversations with the banks or people who are approaching me talking about how they can fund my business, whether it's through a little bit of equity or debt funding. We'll see how that conversation goes as well. So yeah, there was a lot that I did get wrong. I feel like I didn't learn a lot. I didn't build my business independently from the mother company. And so when the mother company got liquidated, I got affected, and basically my business did not exist as well. And yeah. Yeah.
That's actually like very smart to be like, okay, you're going to fund the business through the competitions and stuff like that. And I love that we are currently in that era whereby now business is actually being pushed, especially amongst us young people. I'm pretty sure you know about the EDHE, you know it, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, and that's one of the most helpful organizations as well to help students even to partake in these businesses to make their business ideas come to fruition. And you are right when you say not everybody has a set story. That is so true, we are so used to, the moguls, they being like, oh, I started off in the trenches. And sometimes that's not the story. Maybe the hard part for
Yeah.
you was maybe putting yourself out there, actually overcoming the fear of just talking to people, advertising, learning how to advertise. But some people, maybe they did have funding, and that's okay as well. So thank you for sharing that part. Does anybody want to say something, any comment or anything like that? Uh, okay, no comment, no question. I should ask my questions as well.
Yeah, please.
Okay, but now with the part where um you did get help with the part whereby you were under like the umbrella of your mom and stuff like that. Was there no maybe some form of friction in terms of, okay, yes, we know that you are acquainted with your mom, you work along with your mom, but like now getting them to be like, hey, I'm now doing my own thing. Did you not have any maybe pushbacks or side eyes in terms of that? And also considering that you are young as well.
So at that time, I didn't, like, one of the things I mentioned, what I got wrong, I didn't take advantage of of forming my own relationship with the relationships that my mom had formed, right? So
Mm,
what I'm learning now is building in public and learning how to form those relationships. And there isn't pushback. It's not like, things ended really bad with my mom, for example. Business just
mm,
business, We see this with
mm,
quite a few businesses getting liquidated. And so what's happening is there's not necessarily back, but there's that time that I have to invest to cultivate for them to trust me, to show them that I'm building a business that can scale into 5 different countries like it did before. And this time around, I'm doing it with the experience that I have, but not under anyone's umbrella. So it's a long journey that I've chosen to take. But sometimes I do meet people who want to assist me simply because they know of the mother brand, for example. But yeah, it's me trying to build in public, which, oh my gosh, I've always been shy. I've always been like reserved behind the scenes. That's why I wanted to do film, because I just hold the camera, right, and direct the story from there. But now, now it's me putting myself out there, especially in the age of social media. I am trying my best to learn how to build in public, get over these things that I have. I don't have a fear of abantu bazithini, but it's like, am I making like myself look stupid? Am I getting the points across? Am I being intentional, and is it working? What do I have to change? How do I have to talk? How do I have to present myself? So it's just a matter of me learning, but also this thing of me building in public is actually what is helping me form those relationships much faster or in a non-conventional way, simply because we live in an age where people are always watching what you're doing now. People need different kind of content now. So I'm just riding that wave and learning. But yeah, it is about me putting myself out there and owning my story, regardless of how it may look like.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Especially the part of building in public, it does get nerve-wracking because sometimes you're like, "Ugh, why? Why do I have to put myself out there? You
Why do I
should be
have to make
convinced."
content? Yeah.
Exactly. And then you cringe at yourself, maybe, you know. But okay, moving along. Yes, I think you did mention that you applied for the youth makers, but what made you decide to apply? And when you found out that you won, like, how did that change things for you? Is there even mentorship that comes with that, whereby you get to maybe talk to certain people throughout this, and where they maybe make suggestions and all those things? And sorry,
Yeah.
may you please add on was it the showcasing that you did? I'm not too sure which branch of Woolworths was it.
Okay. Um, So, like, okay, I found out through LinkedIn, and like I mentioned earlier on, what made me decide was that I felt like I was ready to put Girlboss Africa 2.0 out there. I spent roughly about over a year and a half of rebuilding the brand and working behind the scenes. And so there came a time where when Woolworths showed up on my timeline, that okay, let's try. I'm nervous, but like let's try. And who better than Woolworths? You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, we're gonna apply.
Mhm.
There's nothing to lose, and just put ourselves out there. So that made me apply. And what went through my mind when I found out I had won. So we got shortlisted. There was a whole number of people that apply like any other competition. And then I got a shortlist email. I see your hand, Hanyane, I come see you. I got a shortlist email that I had to go pitch in person in Cape Town. So just by the mere fact that I had made it onto that short list of people who were invited to pitch, my confidence was there. And even then, I think I had just almost found out about the Motipe Foundation. So already it's
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm in the right path. I'm doing the right thing. I'm guided. I'm divinely
Yes,
guided.
tons of
And this,
validation.
yeah, exactly. So I go and I pitch. I feel quite confident in my pitch. 18 minutes pitch, which is very different from normal pitches, which are 3 to 5 minutes, for example. And yeah, I forgot about it. I was like, if it's mine, it's mine. And if it's not, it's also okay. Maybe I'm not ready, or maybe Woolworths is not the way I'm supposed to be exposed to my market just yet. Forgot about it, focus on other things. And when I found out I had one, to be honest with you, I kind of knew, like, there was this
You felt
confidence.
it.
Like, yeah, I just knew it. You knew when you do so well, when you prepared, when opportunity
Yes.
needs preparation. I know we hear this a lot, but when opportunity needs preparation, honestly, there's nothing that can get in the way of you having it unless it wasn't part of your divine path. And if that's the case, you just have to accept it as well and let it go. So I knew, and I was just happy. I was really proud of myself. I still am proud of myself. It does come with mentorship. It comes with two different types of mentorship as well. So we do get the 133 plus grant funding that was dispersed earlier on in the program, and you can decide what you need to use that for, but mainly it's for the showcases. So the mentorship comes with internal mentorship, so the different buyers. So like if you're selling an actual product in retail, there's different buyers. There's beauty buyers, there's baby buyers, there's fashion buyers, there's depending on the department, you'll get a buyer. So you get mentored by the beauty buyers, which are the people who handle every skincare or fragrance or hair care brand that enters Woolworths. So they help guide you in terms of packaging, in terms of look, in terms of ingredients, how to get also to the premium level of how Woolworths has positioned themselves to be as part of their value proposition, right? If that's the way you want to go. They connect you with anyone that you need, printing, packaging, everything. They help you get access to anything you may need. Like they're not stingy with that information. And then you have a business mentor who works outside or independently of Woolworths, and they help you with like your systems. They help you with post showcase, like you're coming back Nonhle into the market. How are we gonna use this period to accelerate your growth? What else do we need to work on? Systems. Do you want to employ more people? What about your numbers? Numbers are huge. How do we fix that? What are your plans to scale? So they help you with the business aspect of things, and I have them for 12 months. And those are the two different mentorships that we have. We meet weekly, by the way, or bi-weekly, depending on which mentor it is. And then they give us opportunity to market, and they give us an opportunity to their markets at their different stores that are doing very, very well. So the first showcase that we had was at Gateway Mall, and we just finished one in Joburg. And then end of this month, Mall of Africa, end of this month will be in Cavendish in Cape Town. Essentially, when you walk into these stores during the showcase, it will look as if it's a market pop-up of the 15 different winners. There's quite a few of us. And basically, people who are there at the shop who would be buying, typical Woolworths customer, would then stop at your shop, ask about your product, you interact with your brand, whatever, and then you can sell. And the cool thing about Woolworths or this program is that they don't take any percentage. You get to bank everything that you are able to sell at their store as well. So there's that 130 plus funding, but you also make more money being exposed to their customers in 3 different stores for 2 weeks each. So yeah, this is like one of the programs I would recommend if you sell physical products, CPG, consumer packaged goods, because it's not school. I feel like all the programs we enter is school related, and here it's not school. It's more practical and more hands on.
Hanyani?
Hi, I would just like to know what does it take to win these kinds of I guess competitions, um like in terms of how you need to structure your business, how you need to present, what mentality you need when going in there, because there's quite a few of these things, funding opportunities. Well, obviously, some of them are niche, but still, and I never know how to approach them and just go in there, because sometimes there's also that fear of, is my idea basic? Is there something special about my idea, or does it seem like the same thing that they're used to hearing?
Yeah, I also have that fear a lot, especially in the age of AI and tech. You think it's time for like these grandiose ideas, and here I am saying, hey, stock my hair products, or help me with my hair products. Like, what is hair products? So I hear you on that. Honestly, the person that they buy into or the person that wins is the person in front of them. If you're invited to come pitch in person, it's about how you package your story. How are you able to deliver your pitch, whether it's 90 seconds, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes? How are you able to take them through that journey of where you are now, right? And it's probably the most important part compared to like your pitch deck. When people ask me about how did my pitch deck look like for Woolworths, I always send it to them. It's up to you to see, if it's something that you can incorporate for yourself. But it just looked like basic, but Girlboss, colorful, looked like me, like me as a person. And then I also translated not just as paper, but I also translated into the person that looked like my pitch deck. And it's the years, I guess, of experience. My first pitch I ever did, I was on stage. There was quite a number of people in the audience, and I froze. I was just like, um, so again, it's experience that helps you use that confidence. Yeah, it's experience to be like, okay, I froze. What happened? Okay, I'm gonna start practicing my pitch prior to entering any competition, for example, so that when the competition comes, it sounds or it feels as if it's a song to me, and I'm just regurgitating lyrics, and it's also helping me now because I know it, it's ingrained in my mind. I can now add personality, which is what I feel sometimes where we suck with our pitches is that we're not able to convey who we are as people as well. And yes, if you are going to be innovative, better. Innovation doesn't necessarily mean creating a really advanced product or service or whatever the case may be, nothing the world has heard before. No, sometimes you may just have a product that is already in existence. There's nothing new in this world, right? So, but you innovate, meaning you found a way to make it better. So I have hair products, but we are focusing on just incorporating African indigenous botanicals or ingredients. That doesn't sound huge, but it is huge in the beauty space because all along we've been told relaxers, chemicals, for example, are the best way to get certain results. No one has really pushed forward the idea of using African indigenous ingredients for the climate and the environment and the melanin and the people that we are on this continent. So just a little tweak of something that already existed could just be all that you need. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, that is such an important perspective, especially on pitching and pitch decks. And now I'm having another idea. Can you please come teach us how to write up our pitch decks, please?
Oh, I would be glad to. I would do
Okay.
that. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Thank you
Aw.
so much. Because like you're saying, when you get into business and when you want to approach somebody, we always scared to show off our personalities. We think we have to look like
Mm,
these very serious macho man type of people, but sometimes that doesn't even align with the type of brand that you have and where your business is actually going. Because if you're going to come across as this cold person, and mind you, your investor could be the hippie down the road, and just because you don't even show your personality, you wouldn't even know, you see. But thank you so much for that.
exactly.
And my favorite thing
Of
that you
course,
said,
charity.
my favorite thing that you said was the person who wins is the one in front of them, because I'm pretty sure there are people that maybe on LinkedIn, they're like, man, it's still too early on in my business. I shouldn't apply for that. Then there's somebody
Yeah.
that decided to say, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. And let's say there's to them, that's the most brilliant thing that they've heard, and they see a potential in that. But because you are in the room, you put yourself in the room, there's a high percent chance that you will get the funding. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Bet on
thank you.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Okay, moving on. Yes, after the win, what is now different for Girlboss Africa now that you've won and the doors that it has opened for you. And you did share about the mentorship. I feel like mentorship is also very important in business as well. And yeah, may you please share more about how things have changed for the business and even for you personally? Like, what different perspectives do you now have about business?
Yeah. I'm with you on the whole mentorship thing. But not just that. I think one of the mistakes we make is that I need a mentor, I need a mentor. Finding a mentor as compatible to you is so important. Like a mentor that's compatible to you. It's the same as like a therapist in psychology. You test quite a few out before you find the one that's just like, actually you get me, you know. And so I just so happened to find that one during this showcase. And I think that's what has really led me to push harder than I probably would have for the showcase, to be honest. But changing for Girlboss Africa, first of all, I used that funding to change the packaging and just basically relaunch. But like I used this opportunity to basically make a bit of more noise to be like, hey, we are back. You can buy our product right now, but not just like you can't find us on retail like you could before at Clicks, Discam in all these countries, for example, but you can buy from us at these Woolworths showcase, but also online. So what has changed are my online sales, simply because I've used this opportunity to make noise. I've used this opportunity to rebrand our certain lines and introduce certain ranges that I hadn't before. And that's really, really exciting because I'm able to have more of the piece of the pie that has been in existence, but I probably wasn't able to tap into. For example, we now have products for scalp care that we didn't used to have before. Number two, it's given me a whole lot of confidence, a whole lot of courage in terms of attacking other aspects of the business that I thought they'd be part of the 3 to 5 year plan that you typically have in a business, long-term goals, right? And here I am now already working on those because I'm exposed. I'm able to speak to my mentor and be like, hey, please connect me to, one of those, part of the relationship that you have with the mentor is asking, not just having them come and tell you, okay, Nonhle, for this week, I want you to work on SOPs. These are the deliverables, blah, 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 blah. No, sometimes you have to ask, hey, I have this dream. This is the whole plan for Girlboss. Do you know someone here and here who can assist me in making this dream come to life? Or do you also agree that it should be part of the 3 to 5 year plan, right? And so I realized that yeah, that being able to ask and be bold and courageous and tenacious, and this is part of what this mentorship has also got me to develop that bone in me as well. I also learned, one of the things I learned through mentorship is in business, people speak in numbers, guys. I didn't become a doctor, a cardiologist like I wanted to be because I really sucked at math. I really, really sucked at math, and it's taken me a very long time to even understand like a balance sheet, income statement, for example. And so with my mentor, I've really spent or invested a whole lot of time in trying to understand numbers. Your business speaks in numbers. So I would encourage anyone who isn't already to learn how to articulate your business story just by the numbers that you have. And that looks like your P&L, for example, profit and loss statements and projections, for example. So yeah, I will be in Take a Lot and Amazon in September as well. So just being part of this program, people were demanding of my product, but I also have to be smart. I mean, my shipping cost is 99 Rand, which is crazy expensive if you look at people who buy products from Take a Lot, Amazon, Macro, Bash, for example. You can buy a whole lot of product and just have that shipped out for like 79 Rand, for example. So I learned that I do not need to be where everyone remembers me as before I had my downfall. So I used to be in retail all over the country in 5 different countries, and there is no rush now. That also hurt me. That blew a lot. growing so fast and not being able to manage all of those things. In fact, that's how we actually got ourselves liquidated, because there was a high demand and not capacity to deliver, right? And then you take out loans, then you think, oh my gosh, I need to be able to have cash flow, and you don't have cash flow, but the orders are coming in. How do you make product? So I've learned to slow it down a little, and yes, times have changed between then and now with e-commerce. E-commerce is really growing, it's booming. So I'm learning to be able to do e-commerce and, let the ego down a bit and just take care of how I can right now based on my capacity. There is no rush to show that I'm the best, and this is where I can grow in 2 minutes, for example. No, slow and steady always wins the race. So what's next for Girlboss is, yeah, those type of things. Also our impact events that's coming up at Gibbs. I haven't announced this yet, but I'm into township and rural community development, and this is why I've made my product quite affordable. If you were to ask me who are my direct competitors, everyone would think, like Charity mentioned, on Jackie's, Kantum, Native Child, etc. Those are really expensive niche products for hair care. My direct competitor is Dark and Lovely. However, I just make clean products compared to Dark and Lovely. Dark and Lovely is owned by a multinational, and that's because I want my products to be accessed by people in the rural and township community. So this is giving me an opportunity to sell products, enter market, sell product, market access and sell product, but also be able to really prioritize the essence of the brand, which is rural and township community development, through one of our programs that are coming up soon.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I can see when you speak about the future, it even excites you. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
that version of Girl Boss, it expanding, being on Takealot and Amazon. From what you're saying, what I'm learning is that even with the competitions that you may apply for, you also have to be strategic with the types of competitions that you apply for. How is that even going to help you in business? Where is it going? Because look, the Woolworths helped you to broaden your market now, and like you mentioned, you even have products for scalp, which you initially thought, shouldn't tap into that. But now it even gave you courage to tap into that. But yeah, does anybody
Yeah.
have anything else to say? Any comment? Any question? Okay, I'm guessing nothing. Okay. All right. So with the women's side of things now, like we said, you are an entrepreneur for for Women's Month, sorry. And I just want to ask more questions with regards to women and entrepreneurship, because obviously, back in the day, financial independence was a challenge for women. But now we are able to even start our own businesses, even have bank accounts, which wasn't not so long ago when we couldn't even have our own bank
Right.
accounts. But now, what challenges do women entrepreneurs experience differently? And did you experience any challenges with you being a woman in business? You know, what does financial independence mean to you? And any advice you give, let's say, to a woman that says, you know what, I think I'd like to start my own business, but maybe they're a bit scared or something like that.
Yeah. I'll start with the advice part. In starting a business is your circumstance don't get the final say. And that could go for both women, that could go for men, that could go for whether you're scared or your environment doesn't allow you. Your circumstance does not get the final say, and it's basically just you um, choosing to narrate your own story and not have it narrated to you, simply because there's this emotion you can't overcome. There's a financial disadvantage that you had no control over. There is always a way. If there's a will, there is a way. So your circumstance does not get the final say. And if this is something that is aligned with purpose, if this is a solution that you think is valuable for whoever you are serving, then by all means, be courageous, be bold, be tenacious, go for it, honestly. And the hardest thing or the worst thing that could happen is that you fail. And even then, that's not the end because you've learned something, right? So that would be my advice for young women starting business. Like, go for it, girl. You have nothing to lose, absolutely nothing, except for the fact that you will go through a lot as an entrepreneur. And yeah, I mean, look, it's the same in any industry that women are in. It's just like it just always feels like we're slightly behind more than men, right? Whether it's in sports, whether it's in corporate, whether it's anything where women are now really excelling in. Somehow we always feel like we're slightly behind than men. Even in my beauty industry, would you believe that if I told you that owners of most beauty brands, whether it's luxury, whether it's just commercial brands, are all men owned. So are mostly men owned. So it is still a very male dominated industry as well. Yeah, it's legacy. They built this through family, through many, many, many years. So it is very much a male dominated industry. So yeah, and with that legacy of wealth, obviously people are able to build something that's just like spread out across the world, and is adopted by anyone. But if people really knew the stories behind certain beauty brands, you'd be surprised, you know. So again, I think coming into that space and really owning your brand, owning your story, and sharing something, and you being the face of it, I think that's quite bold. That's still quite courageous, whether it's in beauty, whether it's in finance, whether it's in sports, or whatever the case may be. You are what the world would classify behind. So you have something to prove, you know. So yeah, these are still challenges. You're still in spaces that are much dominated by men, politics, everything, you know. Um, so yeah, I guess it's the same. Like, what do women know? How to overcome assumptions being in a woman in business. Yeah, I'm emotional, you know, and that's why you build a brand like Girlboss, for example, because I understand that we get emotional. I understand that sometimes we are driven by our emotions, by our compassion, by our nurturing, and using that as an advantage. So the assumptions that are out there, use them as advantage. You know, I wanted to build an older sister brand because I know that girls, I sound like I'm rapping. I know that girls go through all these different types of emotions and they need support. So building an older sister brand that understands, you know, we have a menstrual cycle, and during this menstrual cycle, we go through different types of emotions. And so having a brand that caters to that 28 period where you are feeling differently as well. Use the assumptions to your advantage, and yeah, build something that probably corroborates with that as well. Financial independence means to me, I used to grow up thinking that, you know, I wanted the big cars, the big houses, I don't know if I really even want those things anymore. And I think it's really because I went through a lot when we went through that whole liquidation process. I'm somebody who lost everything. I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost everything that was materialistic. So financial independence for me doesn't necessarily mean being able to have those things anymore. It's just freedom is what I really look for. And I think financial independence gives you a sense of freedom, it gives you convenience. So, yeah, you know, I don't have to take a taxi to go somewhere far anymore. I can just buy a flight ticket. That's convenience, not because I am ready or excited to go and post about me being on flights. Let's say it's even first class, for example. No, that's not what financial independence to me is. It's about being able to live a very convenient life. Yeah, helping those who helped me on the journey. You know, how can I help my grandmother? How can I help my mom? Financial independence is really about how much freedom can I get to experience in a world that really operates on a monetary system.
Mm.
So crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, that's actually beautiful, especially the part that you speak on the assumptions and, feeding onto those than letting them work against you, because look, you have a business going on, does that say anything about you being emotional or anything like that? You know, and speaking on the financial independence, the older I grow, the more I'm also leaning more towards, I think I'm okay with the financial freedom and being able to have the convenience to choose a different option over the other compared to without
Yeah.
having the financial freedom, because lack of financial freedom does leave you with little to no choice, actually, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, but mhm,
There's a
mhm,
favorite quote that I like. It's from one of my favorite movies, The Matrix. I think it's the second one, where it's like, choice is an illusion given by those with power, for those without power.
mhm,
And it's just what you just said right now is reminding me of that, because power in that context, I think it also is a financial power. If you have power, you have choices. If you don't have financial power, you don't have many choices, actually. So yeah,
exactly.
thanks for that. Yeah.
Mm. But hey, that's a whole rabbit hole we could go under. Um,
Definitely.
any questions, any comments? You can unmute yourself. People are quiet today. I'm not sure what's going on.
Is it me? Like, I don't know.
No.
Also,
Any question, guys? Don't be shy. You can type
anything.
you
Yeah.
can you can type it out if you don't want to speak. Okay. I don't think anybody has a question. All right. Um All right. So on the part about what's one thing that entrepreneurship, like one thing about that social media doesn't prepare you for entrepreneurship. We see you on LinkedIn one day, like, oh, she has a store there. It looks so cute. I want to be like that. I want to be part of that. We see the car, we see the big house, we see the signing of deals, that's obviously the social media aspect of things. It doesn't prepare you for that. But what keeps you going, when things aren't working? Let's say you were gunning for a deal, but the person is like, no, actually, we would rather go with somebody else, or we don't think this is going to work for us right now. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. So one of my biggest revelations about entrepreneurship is that it's very synonymous with spirituality, regardless of what your spiritual path is. Um, Entrepreneurship will have you facing yourself. It's a very godly experience in the
Mm,
sense that, let's say, for example, you don't have a backup plan, like you're not working in your business part time, you work in it full time. And it gets really, really ugly because you've committed so much to it, your money, your time, all kinds of investments you've given to it, and it gets really, really ugly. There will come a time where you will have to face yourself, and facing yourself not just as like, Nonhle, what are we doing type thing, but it's just like, why am I doing this, And this is where the synonymity, I don't know if that's the word, but the synonym, the relationship with spirituality comes to be, because you realize that I cannot do this alone. And right now it feels like I'm alone because only I really truly understand what I'm going through. And that's where this relationship with God or the creator, whatever you may call them, comes to form. And you realize, okay, God, I might not see you, but I am asking you, I'm being intentional and I'm being commanding of you to be a business partner if you don't have a co-founder, for you to guide me, to lead me down the right path. And if this room, if this opportunity, like you mentioned, I didn't get the deal, for example, is not for me, show me and keep those type of opportunities away from me. So one of those things is that not every opportunity or everything that poses as an opportunity is actually an opportunity. Sometimes it's just something that you will learn, and unfortunately, sometimes you will learn the hard way that no, this was actually not something that I was supposed to partner in, for example, or invest in. I just did it because maybe I didn't trust myself, maybe I just wanted more market access, or this person sounded so convincing, or they could invest in me. Especially for women, we get this a lot. There are a whole lot of men who would come forth to be like, hey, you're building a brand. I work for this organization. I can help you excel. I will help. But what is the exchange? What is the cost? And did you remember having that conversation with God, saying that, God, if this is not for me, if it's not from you, if it's not part of our divine path, keep it away from me. So there will be those tests, especially when it's very, very challenging. But you must always remember that not every opportunity is an opportunity, and you have had this whole experience of spirituality where you're working with another divine counterpart, right? How do I deal with rejection? This is something that I learned from social media. I did rejection therapy where, for example, I apply for things that I know I don't qualify for. I apply for things that I know I don't qualify for, and I'll put my numbers, and I'll be very, very honest. And there's a hope in me, to be like, maybe, but I get that rejection. And also, I build it in public. There's this thing, just a quick example. I like to rap. I like to make beats. I have a very creative side of me. And so there was this competition that I entered in the beginning of the year for Mahindra. And basically, if I won, I'd be able to perform live at their music festival. I've never created a song, even though I like to rap, like freestyle, and I create beats for fun. Did I not enter that competition? And part of that competition was to go and create a music video at one of their stores using their cards, everything. I did. And I edited because I'm good at editing everything. And I applied. I had to apply online, so post my video online. I really wanted that, honestly, and I thought my video was good, and I thought I was going to win. This was one of those where I really thought I was going to win, and I didn't, and unfortunately, that one was very public. But these are the little things that I put myself through, just for me to remember that it doesn't matter. None of it matters, really. So rejection doesn't matter. In fact, you either being redirected, I know we hear this a lot, or it just wasn't for you, or there was someone who was more deserving because they've worked much harder. They were musicians who entered that space, for example. They've worked much harder, they've been more prepared, and it's just their time. It's not your time. So how we deal with rejection. And biggest lesson so far, I think I've mentioned it already, apart from the whole opportunity not posing as an opportunity, is growing too fast. There's a public story that we know in South Africa, and there's a brand called Drip. And that guy, he speaks about the biggest lesson that actually led to his liquidation was growing too fast, jumping at every opportunity. Let's say right now, I'm Nonhle Matsebula, I'm building Girlboss 2.0. I go and I have a meeting with a big retailer, and they give me an order for 2 million rand. The first initial orders at retail are huge, right? They give me an purchase order for 2 million rand. Do you know how much that's going to cost me? Let's say, for example, they tell me that their payment terms is 90 days. I'm excited. Now Girlboss is going to be out there. It's going to be convenient for everyone to get. It's going to be in different parts of South Africa, for example. That is going to cost me so much to put that order, and I'm only going to get paid 90 days. I'm losing suppliers because I'm not paying my suppliers. I'm going to cash flow because, let's say, I am also on Takealot and Amazon at that time, and people are putting orders, but I invested all of my resources to fulfill this discount order that it eventually kills your business. He talks about this. He talks about how he launched so many stores. He went and bought all these vehicles. He was excited. The brand was growing. You do feel excited. But that was a very painful lesson, not just for him, for me as well. Sometimes slow and steady, and I said this before, wins the race. So, yeah, those are my two lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually quite a painful story, for Drip, because it was going so well, and then, sometimes you overpromise, and you end up not being able to deliver because of certain circumstances, But I will say the
Right.
best way to deal with rejection really is rejection therapy, like putting yourself out there. There's no other way, honestly. So I
Yeah.
fully agree on that part. But I see here it says we have less than 5 minutes left. So
Oh,
I'm scared that it may cut us off. So I'm not too sure. I'm sorry for that. I think we've been going at it, and this conversation could continue even. But in case it cuts us off, right? Let me move to this. Yes, what is one thing you'd like to say to student entrepreneurs? Because, like you said, you did start while you were at school. So, what is one advice you could leave us with? Because, we worry about access to funding. We don't think about we could actually do that. Maybe managing it with school, maybe you may need to be a bit more realistic. But what is one thing you can live our students with?
same thing I told some young lady yesterday is to start acting as if you're an entrepreneur, like a succeeding entrepreneur while you're a student. What are the things that you would like to learn right now? Go and learn them, even if they're not part of your school curriculum. I didn't learn marketing, for example, digital marketing, but I know how to use Canva, CapCut. I know how to use AI, and I'm not even anywhere in that space, right? So start acting as if you run a business that's succeeding right now and it needs you to be up to date. What is your finance saying? What do you understand? What don't you understand? And because you have access to the school library, you have access to professors and lecturers, for example, and because you're taking your own initiative, you can go back to be like, hey, I was working on this yesterday and I'm coming across this difficulty or this challenge. Can you please break it down to me? You have a privilege or an advantage right now to take advantage of people who are real life people right there who are willing to guide you.
Right.
Form your relationships now. Go to networking events. You're just a student, sharp. You don't have to walk away with a grand deal, for example, but this is helping you prepare for how you're going to have to function as an entrepreneur in the future. You're going to have to be able to speak to people. I'm a black woman. And one of my therapies, rejection therapy type things right now is to go to networking events to talk to white men. Simply just that,
Mhm.
like simply because how do I practice not being timid? How do I practice showing up in the way that I do when I'm at home or in my office alone? But now I'm actually speaking business. I may not be making sense sometimes, but I'm preparing myself for an opportunity that's going to come when I have to sit in retail and I'm just sitting in the board of white men, for example. So there's a lot that you can start practicing right now, but don't just leave it to studying, coming to write the exam, and that's it. You have an entrepreneurship course, certificate, or degree, whatever the case may be. Start applying now. Start building now. Be ahead of your students or the class if you have to. But more than anything, do the practical work right now, even if the course does not offer practical work. Go into the real world and do it.
So expand your horizons.
Expand your horizons in a real way. Yeah.
In a real way, emphasis. Okay, thank you so much. I'm scared it might cut us off, but if it doesn't, does anybody have a question or a comment? Okay. Okay. People are quiet today. Sorry about that. Bad day,
It's
maybe.
okay. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. But
But
thank
you're
you
more
so
than
much.
welcome. They're more than welcome. Maybe if they do have further questions, to
Yeah.
follow me or add me on LinkedIn, Nonhle Matsebula, as you see right here, Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you do have questions or maybe questions in the future, or may need something, you're more than welcome to hit me up. I'm more than
Mm,
willing to help.
okay. Thank you so much for your time, Nonhle. I did have other questions, but I think maybe for time's sake, we can just leave it here. Thank you for making time on this beautiful Saturday. Like I said, you could be out today, uh, having some nice drink, but thank you so much. I've personally learned a lot, and I will be applying some of the things that you shared, and I will definitely reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation, and yeah, thank you, Charity.
Thank you. Okay, bye everybody.
Mm, can you see me? Yes. What has
Yes.
surprised you the most about what natural hair customers actually want versus what you initially thought they wanted? And what has been more important to your growth, the quality of the product, the brand identity, or the community?
Mm,
Yes, I really underestimated community.
yeah.
Unfortunately, she's gone. But
Ish.
really, that is what has helped the most in building my brand right now, the community that I've built and I'm building. And that requires like being, sorry, I'm just trying to fix my noise. That requires
Yeah.
like being really proactive, getting back to people, of excellent customer service, for example. Community has been the one that is carrying me now, the second time around, compared to the quality of product, the brand identity. But the quality has to be excellent. This is what keeps people coming back. This is what helps you stay on shelves. If you manage to get your product onto shelf, for example, the quality, people keep buying again and again, having a long customer life value. And this is because your customer service is excellent and the product works, right? Girlboss, yeah, it's tricky. Brand identity is a bit tricky, but I'm still working on that, and that's the budget that I need, marketing, right? Um, what has surprised me the most? People need or they say they want um, scalp products, for example. I think, and it's true because if you're having issues with something, it really is for hair, for example, the issue would be the roots and the scalp of the hair, compared to when the hair is growing, the hair is thriving, for example. And I've learned that you have to form that type of relationship with the customer where you can get feedback from the customer. I have customers who I write personal emails to say thank you for ordering, and it's from Nonhle. And I also keep up to date with them if they've received their orders, and I do this via WhatsApp, for example. After some time, after they've had their product, I ask them how do they find it? Is there anything that I can work on to improve? And this is how I've actually come to keep improving my products because of the feedback that I get from customers. But yes, I'm learning a lot more now that the scalp, it really is the issue. And I think maybe, I don't know what has changed, but maybe it's the water that yeah has changed and people are facing more. I don't know, honestly. Maybe yeah, it's our diet or what, but the what something is changing and people are more prone to scalp sensitivity than ever before. I used to think that you need this. These are the products that you need. In fact, when we launched with like 20 products. I've cut them down to 5 at some point, and now we're at 12 different hair products because we do have different ranges as well. But yeah, listening to your customer, what they want. You don't always know. You're building a whole brand and you think this is what you need. No, let them tell you what they need or what they want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, it's especially with the what do you say? Like, is there something in the water, And also with education as well, we've been taught that our hair is so hard to deal with. So we end up running away from it. We mistreat it. We use even the incorrect products. Sometimes I guess maybe it takes also you like make doing the work of trying to teach people to say, okay, this is what the product does. This is why it could also be good for your hair and stuff like that. Hence the quality and the community aspect of things. So do you get to do that in terms of, especially the community side of things, like be more educational?
Yeah, see, right now I'm a team of one, which is really hard. It was easier when I was like a bigger
Mm,
team because I wouldn't have to manage so many things, right? But if you think of your customer journey and you have to think of it like from the beginning until they keep coming back, so until the end, but then they must come back again and again and again, you will realize that a lot of the customers don't know what they want. So a lot of your marketing, a lot of touch points of your brand, people have to be educated on what the product is, what it does, and how it can simplify, or what it solves rather, how it can simplify your hair routine as well. So a lot of your marketing, you do marketing in pillars. For example, we have product information, we have education in terms of different hair routines, how to solve this problem, how to do or when to do this treatment, for example. And then we have our different empowerment content, for example. So you always, unfortunately, for you think you might have done it maybe back in 2021 and people know. No, there's a girl who just transitioned yesterday and she's like, I don't want to do
mm,
big chop. I want to move from being relaxed to natural with the hair that I have on my head right now. What is the process? So she just turned yesterday. So for you to find her or for her to find you, you have to have posted content yesterday and tomorrow, because tomorrow there'll be someone else as well. So it's an ongoing loop, different ways of telling. You can do it just in writing or in video or whatever the case may be. So yeah, education, you can't stop because people are always just becoming as well. So
mm, mm,
yeah,
I agree. There's
yeah.
always a new client that needs to learn something new. But yes, I would love to go on and on, but but thank you so much. Yeah, I guess we'll talk. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. And since Gavrilo is here, do you guys have more questions? Maybe you were shy of people or something. I don't know. It's up to you. You could ask now. And Sitoli, Mela, I don't know. Just an
Do you guys have
opportunity.
questions? It's just the four of us.
Yeah. No? Maybe they even abandoned their devices actually, and they just still online.
Probably.
It's okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Charity. It was fun. Yeah.
Thank